Hi, my name is Cesar, as you mentioned, and I'm a software developer. And today I want to share with you, how many of you have heard this word about service mesh before? Raise your hand. How many of you believe it's a buzzword? And I don't even understand what it means in reality. So I'm here just to share a little bit of the magic I believe we can reuse in our day-to-day. So you will learn the small details. I believe you can get a lot of value of that. And even when I was reading this, I was discovering a lot of cool stuff that you can do to reuse functionality in your servers or whatever. So let's start by basically, object-oriented programming did burn because we wanted to reuse our software or components. We were very tired maybe of using spaghetti code, copy pasting. Even 2008, we're still copy pasting, but we are not progress enough in that regard. But hey, come on, I am an idealist, so that was the idea. Let's try to make objects, try to make it reusable, stuff like that. So one of the cool patterns that we can implement reusability is the decorator pattern. For example, you have the typical server object here, and then you just make a nice object that wrap that object and modify his behavior. So that's very cool. You have two objects, both are testable, and you have two functionalities, and both functionalities, they basically use the solid principle, you don't never modify server, your server decorator is still reusable, and you can reuse those two functionalities, and you can share it. If it's done well, server decorator can take whatever stuff that understands these interfaces and apply the modification. So that's reusability right there. As long as you talk this language, you get code for free. So that's basically the idea that, hey, we appreciate that. And as I mentioned, we don't apply every day. And you can see code that repeats itself everywhere. I even see a Java app that was implementing 25 interfaces. So progress is still to be made, But hey, again, I am a dreamer. So, can we reuse that philosophy with containers? That's the question I wanted to make, basically. How many of you believe it's difficult to work with containers these days? You don't understand it, or... So, okay. So, I wanted to speak to you as well, because I think I can help with that, with this talk a little bit. So, please don't be afraid the fact that I say, can we reuse containers as object, if something as a solved problem. That is not very difficult to do a container today. Don't be afraid. I think I can help you with that. So first of all, what containers and objects share in common? So they implement encapsulation. I don't have my notes here, but well, I will do it as I remember. So we have encapsulation. So you have a container called home. You know what it does. You hope you know what it does. And it's a name, and you assume some things about the container. So that's the first stuff that they have in common. They have interfaces. So containers, you can manipulate a container by network. You send a service, you say HTTP get 200 to the home, and basically give you a resource back. It's a web server. Web servers, everybody understands that concept. So they have implementation details. That's super cool, because your container can have a civil war inside, processes killing each other, and give you a response back. The best thing, I don't care. As long as it gives me the response, I'm happy. And yes, I don't need to deal with that. Basically, you can apply the same programming tactics. If you open, you own it, type of thing. So basically, you can take care of that enclosure and basically hide the complexity. I don't even want to understand how you do that miracle. Just want my response back. And they are predictable. So basically that's the old magic about containers. You deploy it again and again and again, and you get the same response. It's like a pure function. So that's a cool thing, and that's basically similar, but not equal to, it's similar to objects, of course. So, and then you will ask Cesar, okay, but if I try to implement your same pattern on the first time, this doesn't look very different from a web service, the typical web service. Like, this can be a machine, this can be another machine. So what is the big deal, Cesar? What did you come here? Like, you take 5-hour training to explain me this shit. Sorry for the word. Sorry. So, okay, so let's talk about Kubernetes 101. How many of you know Kubernetes? Like, I don't know. So if you want some obscure details or whatever, just raise your hand and say, Cesar, explain me a little bit more. I will try to keep it high level, because I wanted to believe that we can work with this platform in a way that is like, really like, it should be very easy to do. But I see a lot of places where this is overcomplicated sometimes. So, okay, the thing is, if you see something that you say, hey, how do you do that? Just raise your hand and say, hey, that's it. So, just a quick explanation. Kubernetes is just like a program that handles other machines. It tries to deploy your program in multiple machines. It tries to keep them alive. If some program crash, it tries to recover it. If you have, if one machine is taking too much traffic, it will try to move that container to other machine. So it basically, it's like a manager of application inside the machine, in a simple term, basically. So if you zoom in, like now let's go to the application, zoom in. Application can talk themselves, between themselves, and there's nothing new here, but basically they can discover themselves, talk with themselves, etc. Sometimes people take this idea very seriously, and they have this beautiful graph here that everybody can understand. And okay, let's zoom in even more. Let's go inside the application now. So basically, a lot of people believe that Kubernetes deal with pods, and that's a common misunderstanding, because they deal with containers. They don't deal with containers, they deal with pods. So pods basically is the minimum deployment unit of a Kubernetes framework, and basically you can put there one container. So basically your application gets a request, the pod basically has some security policies where it exposes some port of the container, and the container can respond back. Basically, that's how it works. In big, like right here, we have a 101 Kubernetes. We are all certified now. So let's create one application. Let's create one application just to showcase, just to showcase a little bit our knowledge of Kubernetes. So we'll start with a pod. You see, beautiful template there. Then we need a service. Then we need a router. We need more YAML. And I am done. And seriously, my friends, when I was reading this stuff in my house, I was thinking, oh my God, I better simplify this, or this guy are going to kill me. Because seriously, this is Node.JS, so I don't want you to get sleep while I am doing the talk. So what I did was, when I was writing the stuff, I said, come on, this could be better. I don't want really to make these guys get to sleep or throw me a chair. And then what I did was, I write a library that basically teach Node.js how to deploy itself into the cloud. So basically, I stole this idea from Kelsey Hightower, this Kubernetes guy that is everywhere. So I saw that talk, I said, hey, that's cool. I didn't like him a little bit at first, but then I said, hey, that's a cool idea. I believed using technology in 19, sorry, I was still in the last year. Using technology in 2009 should be easy. We should not be complicated with Terraforms and all that thing that seriously is very daunting. So what I did is a library that tells your Node.js virtual machine, hey, you can deploy yourself in the cloud, basically. So, basically get your project. When you do some stuff, yeah, magically he gets your project, he just deploy it in the cloud. So for that, I'm going to teach you how it works and hope it works. I see the demo of Peter now, and he fails, so I hope it's not yeah? Good? Works. No, I hope I have a very lucky today. So, basically, can you see it a little bit there? Can you see the console?
Yes.
Everybody? Okay. So basically we have the typical app. I will throw this. This is the Jinx or whatever. What is it? Okay. Okay, now we get back. So this is an application, you see, nothing special. It's just the typical Node.JS app. So we go here and do. Tachan is not at the level of the EA before, it's a little bit below, but come on. So after that, it's a normal app. We now add our library. I required before, so because I don't want the demo to explode, so I required before, I just say go KD, require. So now, this stuff magically is deployed into the cloud. So basically right now, you just take your folder. First of all, somebody know how is this magic done? Just for curiosity. Like, how do I overcome the real program and just execute myself like a virus? So I'm very proud of that. So it's like a virus, but a benign virus. It takes your application to the cloud and deploy a container there and make your life easier. So now, right now, you're seeing the logs of a container running somewhere in Arizona. You don't care. You don't care how it works. It just works. And that's how I love it. I don't need to know containers, bash, whatever. I just go there, click here. That's it. Your application is running there automatically. And let's go to the stuff. So, like, raise your hand. It's easy to do, no? So we can now build upon and do some crazy stuff. So I don't want to brag about it, but this thing not only push your application there, it also configure your service and entity in Kubernetes. Again, I would like my developers to don't know about anything Kubernetes does. It's just do your job. Friday, give the next sprint, give me an app, and don't tell me like, oh, Kubernetes is killing me, I don't understand that. No, you don't have any excuse. So you have service, you create your service, you create your router, it's a firewall, it's a typical configuration of a Kubernetes enterprise for Red Hat. I did Red Hat because it's the one I know more, but in the future I pretend to do a Kubernetes like the Google Kubernetes one, because that's the only one I dominate at the moment a little bit. So basically you are here, you go to the router, firewall, service, all this thing is done for you. So you don't need to know anything about infrastructure now. So you can be a millionaire. So now let's go to the cool stuff. Now that we can build stuff in the cloud, I feel that we can be stronger and build something upon this technology. So basically, You have the pod, you have the container as I told you before, but when one container is good, two is better, as everything. So what we can do is, we can configure this in some way that we put two containers inside, it could be whatever application, I don't care. You have one container that is doing the business stuff, and you can have a specialized container done by your team. So you can have like, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the possibilities, but for now, this is what I think in the first slide about decoration, object decoration. This is the same thing. Like the request come here, go to the decorator do some logic, pass control to this guy here, he does his business stuff, and if we do this well, like everybody here does object-oriented today, both of these guys cannot make any assumption of each other. So you can reuse this guy in separate and this guy in separate. So that's how it works. Like you can build upon existing technology and create cool stuff. So for that ambassador there, I create this other library. This library basically, this is just a simple Node.js library. It will open two ports. It will open the ports to receive income, as you can see here again, the port to receive request, and then it will give you a port to send the request back. So imagine if we don't have this, if we need to do the templates to implement this, it's over, game over. So basically you just call the API here, simple, you choose your port, choose your target, they come from environment variables, and you need a function here to deal with the traffic so you can control the flow and you can create very cool service meshes. Okay, so this is what I said before, the same thing. This is the visual explanation. They put the black box here just to make sure you don't need to make assumptions or anything. The less you make assumption of that black box, the more reusable is your container. So I will keep it to the end. Okay. Okay. So you remember there is a function called tunnel. So this function takes two objects, service, you remember, and what is the right, left, and the server, that's the one coming from. So you can here in this function control whatever you want. Also, I put here some logic. So if it's right now only support HTTP because it's the easiest one. So it's an open source API. If you want to support any other protocol, I am happy that you come and help. But for now, I just support HTTP. So for example, in this particular case, what we are going to do is every time something comes from the server, we ignore. And if something comes back from the service, and this thing is HTTP 404, we're going to change that request and put that enterprise level HTTP 4. So basically, this object, if we install that, we basically change the running program at the moment. So let's again demo this. I will cross my fingers and see what happens. So you see here, this is our payload here. Of course, don't expect enterprise too much like elegance. So I am a preacher of object-oriented, but I just try to keep it simple as well. That's the good excuse. Software code reviews. So we here have a payload. This is a web page. We're just going to close everything that comes. When a request comes, we let it pass to the next service. If that service responds 404, we give this big payload, and we just improve user experience by doing it. Okay. So, like this app. had to include the library, of course. But
it was there already.
It was there?
Yeah, it was the third line.
Oh my god. Oh. Okay, thanks. So you were a successful, thank you. So, in the other one we use C because we want to create a container. In this one we want to use -A, that means attach. Sorry, my English is very bad, so maybe it's open source. You can just put an issue if you prefer to use a better English word for that. So I put attach. This thing is going to run, and he will ask me right now. He detects there is 2 applications in the cloud, and I say like, hey, I want to improve my application. That is the one we created so far. And what he's going to do, he's going to create a container. He's going to attach that container as we saw in the scheme, and he will provide that functionality for me. So I hope it's faster. As you can see, there is also, maybe you didn't notice, but there is also a Java application running. So another good stuff about this is that I can attach that container to a Java application. I am no longer, my only problem with compatibility is the protocol for now. So once you build a cool, okay, so we have, once you build your container, you can make it reusable, but it's reusable against every language. So you can put a Go line in front, and below you can put a Java application, you don't care. You can reuse that again and again with any other framework that you want. You don't need to necessarily use Java or whatever. So that's one other thing that I really like about this pattern, is like you can make it reusable with everything. Okay, sorry. Okay, you have the typical app here again. And it's normal. But what happens if I miss the stuff? So, I had this thing here. Now it's enterprise level. It's ready to get to VC funding now. So this is really very, maybe you can say, hey, this is not very good, Cesar. Seriously, you came here just to show me this silly thing? Okay, so here are some ideas that you implemented and you make money. I hope you call me back. So, some ideas. So you can implement, for example, authentication decorator. So imagine you have an old Java app, and this app, you don't want to touch it because it's too old, and really, you touch that thing, it can explode in things that you don't even want to know. So what do? Make a decorator, intercept all the calls, and if the call is not with the token, sorry, goodbye. Next one. Notify on crash. So imagine you have a container and you get very high load, a lot of traffic, and you want to get an email maybe when this thing crash. And why it crashed, what is the milliseconds, what was the payload, etc., etc., etc. You can intercept all that information and send it to you, and send a photo of the death of your container. So you can do it yourself. You don't need Google or Silicon Valley to do that for you. So, your own circuit breaker, another possibility. Why not making your own circuit breaker? Or in my case, my favorite is fail fast. So if there is a problematic container getting too much to respond, decorate that container, put a fail fast. If you put a counter, if you go more than 500 milliseconds, cut the connection and send back a response. You can make request collector and replay. I heard that Facebook collect a lot of requests, and then they replay this request versus a cluster. So this cluster is like the new version, they release a new version in a cluster, and they replay real data to that cluster to see how it goes. So it's a way to basically test human behavior. Basically because human behavior is the one that's going to break your app. So if you can implement that as well, and you can send me the money to my place, my PayPal account. It's because I believe it's a cool stuff. You can make a decorator that intercept all the calls, human interaction, crazy human. The crazy human behavior, you can track that with your decorator container. The good thing is that the app below is completely innocent. She don't know what's happening. She's just executing business. So you can put another team that is very expert in that type of things, and they can build that container for you. And if it works, very good. It doesn't work, you take away the container, and you can continue with your life. So that's the power behind. Like, you don't. It can fail. If it fails, just take it and continue working and improve it, and you don't lose anything. My internal protocol. If you are using a private company protocol and you get a new app and you don't want to touch that app again, good excuse to make that. Security monitor. There are some companies that prefer the security to be completely like a special SWAT team that never touch or talk with anybody that is not about that company. So, hey, that's another good solution. Just send them there, lost, doing their crazy cryptographic stuff, and just decorate it. Nobody knows what you're doing because those two containers, you can just isolate each other. And watch my VM telemetry. That's the last one. Another cool idea, you can make a decorator that watch your VM in real time and maybe send you telemetry about how good are you doing or whatever and stuff like that. So, for inspiration, I just built this in my free time. This basically is like, I try to compete with Prometheus a little bit, but in reality, this is like a tracker. I give you the silly one because I didn't want to write that one in front of you here, so this is like the final, something that you can do if you have time and you have really, like, if you want to do it. Like, right here, I'm just taking advantage that I'm running in the same pod to get CPU metrics, memory metrics. If you see there was like the problematic, I just put there like a Fibonacci process. You know Fibonacci, you can do, if you do that wrong, that's my favorite algorithm because it's so easy just to kill the CPU with that. So you can see there the Fibonacci is doing very well here. And this is the craziest stuff that you can do if you're very motivated or really you want to do whatever and be. So thank you very much. And this is the libraries. And if you really want to get deeper into more crazy ideas, this is the research paper where I get this idea. And there is a little bit more cool stuff there, but hey, seriously, you can take a look and please, if you like this stuff, just give me a pull request or whatever, or if you want to implement. Right now, I don't have any way to do it in Kubernetes, so if you want to learn Kubernetes, it's a good excuse to write maybe an image pusher that do that for you and stuff like that. And let's see how it goes. So thank you very much.